Resident Evil games. Great, aren't they? The once number one horror franchise in the gaming business has had some fantastic games in its 20-year history, but with recent entries, most notably Resident Evil 5 and 6, the series seems to be obsessed with over-the-top action violence and less about delivering the scares. But now with Resident Evil 7, this marks a massive change in the franchise for quite some time, and dare I say it, the best entry in the series since Leon S. Kennedy first entered that Spanish village. The changes are noticed straight up when you first start the game. Gone is the third-person over-the-shoulder gameplay that has been a mainstay for the franchise, and in comes first-person perspective, and it's a big change. And while it certainly will divide some fans, it's all for the best. The game acts as a sort of reboot for the franchise and see new protagonist Ethan Winters, a plain and fairly normal guy who's looking for his estranged wife, who's been missing for quite some time. This all changes when a message from his wife Mia lures him to a derelict plantation in Louisiana. Once Ethan gets to this plantation, one thing leads to another, and he eventually gets kidnapped by the crazy Baker family. And what begins is Ethan's struggle to escape and uncover the mysteries of this manor. What actually strikes me is the cast and the story aren't actually that bad. Whilst the leading character, Ethan, is your pretty standard and plain lead, it's the menacing Baker family that are the real stars of the game. The family of four is made up of the father Jack, who's quite handy with a spade, the mouthy mother Marguerite, who has a thing for bugs and swears like a good un, the son Jack, who has a thing for setting up sword-like traps, and rather creepy and silent grandma, who just sits there and watches you. There's no denying the Bakers are one of the most memorable characters in Resident Evil history. Bar the Baker family, the other monsters on offer are these weird-looking human-shaped mud monster things called the Moulded. They come in a few different variants, but they aren't really that scary and rather plain and boring, to be honest. There's also some bugs and that's it, which is a shame. There's no zombies in the game whatsoever, which is a disappointment, as zombies are pretty big in Resident Evil. It would have been nice if there was a little bit more enemy variety on offer here. The game starts off rather slow and tense as you wander around the starting area with just a knife, and it's as scary as you're underpowered and you don't know what might jump out on you. Early in the game we'll see you being stalked by Jack through the house. It's rather unnerving and done really well, and the game keeps to this eerie intense atmosphere through most of the game. Its boss battles are certainly a highlight, especially the one where you're trapped in a garage with Jack. As you go through the game, more areas of the plantation open up. You start to amass a range of weapons including pistols, shotguns and even a flamethrower. There's a fair few more weapons than that, but I won't spoil them for you, but I will tell you that at first, ammo is very scarce. Every shot is precious, but later on in the game the pace changes and you eventually have plenty of ammo, and the game does get a bit too action focused for my taste, which is a shame. The gunplay isn't really that great as it feels a bit floaty with some pretty poor hit detection. That being said, you can block enemies' attacks, which do make shooting a little bit more easier. Length-wise, the game is a decent length at around 10 hours plus mark, maybe a little bit more on your first try, which isn't that bad after all. After you complete the game, there's an unlockable harder difficulty mode, and that's it. No extra side mode, which is a shame as more recent Resident Evil games have had fun little side modes in Mercenaries and Raid modes. It isn't a surprise to be honest, but it would have been nice nevertheless. It's also worth noting that the game can be fully playable from beginning to end on the PlayStation VR, which is certainly an awesome way to play the game if you can afford to. Presentation-wise, the game makes good use of the new engine called the RE engine, which allows the game to run at a near constant 60 FPS, which helps add to the realism. Graphics-wise, the lighting and textures are really well done, and at times the whole thing looks photorealistic, which is great. Facial capturing is also well done here, especially on the main characters, as you can see the pain and distress expressed on their faces very well. Conclusion time now, and I must admit it's nice to see Resident Evil back and being scary again. Resident Evil 7 is a really nice surprise and certainly a return to form and a return to its horror roots, and that's a brilliant thing. Add in a rather strong story and a decent cast, Resident Evil 7 offers a fun and scary experience that you should certainly try. The game gets an 8 out of 10 with the title of great. It would have been nice if there was a little bit more enemy variety and the final third was a little less action focused, but it's certainly not a deal breaker, and at the end of the day, Resident Evil 7 is well worth a buy. Anyway, thank you for watching my review, like, rate and subscribe, and until next time, happy gaming. Bye.